Good evening. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm your host, Ellie, and this is Investigator News World News. And we have learned today Hamas has turned two Americans loose, two of the hostages. I believe they're from Chicago. Um, Good thing, good news there. And with I don't even want to talk about Jim Jordan and that stupid count. But everybody is very, they're peeved over this because what about getting help to Israel? Well, I don't think anybody really needs to worry because there's a Wars Powers Act and the president has 30 days to be able to use it. So if he wants to send anything to Israel, he can within the next 30 days using the War Powers Act. Now, it's officially called Wars Powers Resolution, and it was enacted in 73 by Nixon. The law text frames it means it's guaranteed the collective judgment of both Congress and the president will apply whenever American armed forces are deployed overseas. To that end, it requires the president to consult with legislature in every possible instance before committing troops to war, which we have done. We've got ships over there, and we do have sent a National Guard. The resolution also sets down reporting requirements for the chief executive, including the responsibility to notify Congress within 48 hours if he wants to use this or send additional military forces. And this is into hostilities or situations where imminent involvement in hostilities is clearly indicated by the circumstances. Additionally, the law stipulates that the presidents are required to end foreign military actions after 60 days, unless Congress provides a declaration of war or an authorization for the operation to continue. So I hope you guys understand that. So we don't got to worry. So what it does is it gives Congress 60 days to get a Speaker of the House and then start funding or putting more troops over there to Israel or Ukraine or even Taiwan. Um, really, well, not a lot. Susan, that's a really good question because there's a lot of Republicans holdouts, the 12 to 20 of them that hold out, and they always side with the Democrats. I think I've read the list before. I don't have it right now. Um, that's the problem right there. Now, if they don't, well, I guess we're going to talk about this. If they don't want McCarthy, okay, and they didn't want Scalise, they definitely did that, and they don't want Jordan. Well, who do they want? Well, why don't they come up with somebody? If these are the ones that, if they're going to be the holdouts, there's 8 and 2 and 15. There was 8 for Scalise, 2 for McCarthy, and 15 others, it says. I don't know if those are Democrats or Republicans. It could be a mixture of the two. Then why don't they get together and say, okay, if you guys aren't going to agree on Scalise or Jordan, who do you want? They don't want McCarthy either because they all voted real good for McCarthy, not to have McCarthy. They're voting against Scalise. They're voting against Jordan. So who do they want? That's my whole. I don't know. That's where I'd go with it because it, it's dumb, but at the same time, it takes a long time to get all the votes you need to get a speaker in. Uh, Now, Nancy Pelosi, she just went around threatened everybody. And then she had all the votes and she went in and they voted and they were done. That's how she works. Now, there has been threats against some of the members of Congress. They're not saying who, but there have been threats. But that always happens. Why didn't they do anything about Pelosi and Feinstein threatening people? Yeah. So, all right. Um, um, Now, attempted Ohio train derailed, and I mentioned this the other day with William. And Joseph Finley, he's 43 years old, is arrested and charged with terrorist attacks against railroad carriers. So he has done this before. Now, where's Mary? Because I bet Mary would love to hear this one. Now, they're finding metal materials jammed into the track and rail switches in Ohio, and they have been finding these for months. Uh, and a train derailment in August, according to court documents. And they said it could be quite a few others, as now they're going back and looking at the train tracks and all the materials gathered and all the rest of them. And if so, then they will charge this guy. So we do know that the train derailments are at least three of them by this one gentleman. So he's going to be treated as a terrorist. Um, I agree with you there. So I didn't I didn't really watch Biden last night. I just can't. It was like watching Obama. I just can't bring myself to do that. I don't know. I should. I really should. But I heard it wasn't really, the only thing he did was made it so he could give more money to Ukraine. That's all I got out of it. Now, the Biden White House did delete a photo after being accused of military security breach. Now, they shared an image on Instagram on Wednesday with Joe and the Delta Force, a special missions unit of the U.S. military whose missions are highly classified and they are never to be made public. The problem being faced of the military members were not blurred. The image was deleted, but the blunder soon became to circulate on social media. The White House media team shared the picture, and and then they wanted to add black boxes without blurring or censoring. Delta Force CAG operators' faces. One ex user wrote, they deleted it an hour after hundreds of thousands had already viewed it. This massive failure by the Biden administration is considered one of the biggest blunders of history and showing who they are and maybe even a place they shouldn't have been. Um, so yeah, oops. Well, it was at they were lined up. I don't even want to show you guys a picture. I think it's just wrong. Um, but they're lined up and he's shaking their hands. But they did put black boxes and X's. Kind of late, hundreds and thousands got a hold of it and probably kept it on their computer. Um, um, Susan thinks they were deliberate. They probably were. Um, um, Now we have, oh boy, um, U.S. forces attacked in Iraq, was preparing to speak from the Oval Office. Now, when Joe Biden spoke last night, he wanted to give billions of aids to Israel, Ukraine, and the Palestinians in Gaza. Now, from my previous experience, anything you give to Gaza, anything you give to the Palestinians, 80, 90, sometimes 100%, all goes to Hamas. And what they do with it is it's not infrastructure or schools or hospitals or upgrading anything that's been bombed. They use it all on weapons. So bad call on Joe Biden. And he still doesn't want to freeze the stuff in Iran, the billions of dollars. Now, what gets me was last night we had 3 missiles fired from Yemen that one of the ships in the Mediterranean, I believe, was able to shoot down. So our forces shot it down for Israel. There was also drones that were sent. So, and these missiles were supplied by Iran. Well, they're also getting fired upon in the northern part of Israel by at Lebanon with Hezbollah. And we've also seen that there was missile fired from Iraq. So all of these and Gaza is all supplied by Iran. Is Iran using these countries to start its wars for them? And that's what it seems. And this is what Bibi Netanyahu and Herzog is looking at, is that instead of Iran firing the missiles, and they possibly could, according to the president there of Israel, but they think that Iran is going to try to stay out of this. So they don't have any of their munitions plants or anything that they've been working on hit by Israeli missiles. So it seems very plausible, and that they are using four different fronts to fight the war against Israel that they've been wanting to fight for decades. I'm not saying that Hezbollah and Hamas didn't want to fight with Israel, but it's really odd that as we go along into the second and third week of this war, that now Iraq is added in and chimed in, and so has Yemen. Uh, wow. William, did you know about the War Powers Act? I don't know if you knew about it. I don't know if you got in time for that. Um, I brought that up because everybody was worried that Israel wouldn't get their stuff. Um, 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 Now the State Department and the DOJ, and I got to make sure I get this one, Department of Defense, um, warns of 180 provocative encounters with Chinese aircraft. The world attention may largely be in the Middle East, but China is continuing a provocative campaign in the Western Pacific. In the last 2 years, there has been over 180 unsafe approaches, or almost wanting a dogfight, or even uh, 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 head on encounters by the CCP, the Liberation Army Force aircraft, and to American and Allied aircraft operating in international airspace. They are crossing over only for a mile or two and then back again on their own space. And it seems tailor made to provoke a response from U.S. aircraft. Now, me and William's been telling you this. They're bumping boats. They're flying close. They're getting closer. They're blocking the Taiwan Strait. And it seems to be getting worse, according to the Department of Defense. And it's telling the media that the aircraft have an uptick or coercive and risky interactions that China is portraying not only to our country, but other countries that are doing drills in international water. The DoD officials outlined the trend at the press conference Tuesday, and, and provided newly classified photos, videos, and relevant incidences, saying that we could go ahead and start in and have Taiwan defended and react to their risky behavior. Um, Now, when I heard that, I thought, we're going to start the war? I thought we were just going to sit off at sea and let things go. But according to the Department of Defense, it could be that if it gets worse, they might make the first move. Huh. Okay. Um, Now, this always comes as we are going against terrorists in different countries, but the State Department issues worldwide cautions, warning for any Americans traveling abroad. An airplane, cruise ships, trains, buses, even buildings that belong to state departments or the federal buildings. They are warning that this is a big caution, even embassies around the world, and said that they are able to issue this caution like they weren't able to for 9/11. Hmm. Um, Now, this one kind of broke my heart a little bit because, I do like Kennedy, even though he's independent. And he yelled out the other day that he is now stated his support for slavery reparations to be paid to African Americans. Is this a ploy or a campaign promise for the African American vote? He supports issuing reparations to Black community, making him the most prominent 2024 candidate to favor this policy meant to atone for slavery and legal segregation. President Biden has largely been silent on the issue, leading to a frustration among the left. Kennedy, who ditched his Democrat Party due to they were no longer willing to protect him, um, earlier this last month, is definitely in favor of issuing federal dollars to rebuild Black infrastructures like banks and businesses that they was um, taken from them during the civil rights movement. I don't know. It's not that I'm not in agreement that they were harmed and they were treated badly, but the millions that they want to give them is wrong. Give them a low interest loan. Give them low interest loans for housing and their businesses. We don't need to give them cash. We just don't. I may lose favor in some African Americans that watch my show, but folks, there's a whole bunch to that. And just because they make a campaign promise doesn't mean they keep it. Just be leery of that. Just be very careful of the promises that are made during the campaign season. That goes for all of the politicians. Uh, but that disappointed me. That really did. That just seemed like a ploy to get the votes. He don't need to do that. Um, Now, we have had spies and CIA, and not only from our country, but we got in MI5 or MI6, the UK, and others, that they have been trying to hunt down the leaders of Hamas. And they found out many of them, and even Israel has looked into this. And what they have found out that many of the leaders live in luxury in Qatar. They're sitting there, they're having drinks, they're watching TV as the country is being decimated. And um, they're, according to what the intel that we're getting, is they are doing very well and very comfortable where they're at in their luxury suites. See, I knew they were living somewhere nice, and I heard they had water and food and power and all that, but I didn't know it was in Qatar. So that's where we found them. I knew they were somewhere. Um, Now, I kind of feel like we got gaslighted last night. I told you I didn't really watch much of it, but did you feel gaslighted with Ukraine being added into it? I mean, I know he's been going around asking, but I think Zelensky is Biden's adopted son or something because he just can't stand to see him lose. Or is it that he hates Russia so much that he doesn't want to see Russia win? Uh, but that what he doesn't understand is he may gaslight us for the taxes to pay for all this. Remember last night I told you we're the ones going to pay for all this. Does Zelensky really need more money for? And they're saying humanitarian aid, but Ukraine was corrupt. Um, and the from 2013 that we found, it was corrupted all the way through the Obama administration. It was corrupt all the way through Trump's, and then now we're finding out they were still corrupt. that Trump even had to open up additional offices to fight corruption in Ukraine. So, uh, but we're going to give them humanitarian aid. We know that they have, with the equipment they got, some of it went to other countries, third world nations like Yemen and uh, probably even Gaza. We don't know. Now, the good thing about what Biden has done is so many guns and missiles that were meant, or rockets that were meant for Ukraine, went to Israel to help Israel. And this could be why he's putting money into Ukraine right now, because he took their stuff and he gave it to Israel. So we don't know the full story. Me and William probably look into it over the weekend. And William's got lots of good stuff for Monday already. Um, uh, well, the USAID, they caught them during Hillary in the State Department under Obama, that it was all going to um, the to countries that were using it for their soldiers, not for the people. And they were using it to protect themselves. And they said since it was humanitarian to protect their people, they could use it. Now, I bet you that's the guys that they're using this in Hamas. It's humanitarian for us to protect our people so we can use the humanitarian aid to blow other countries up. It makes no sense. You can, but it makes sense to other countries when they do it, and they truly believe in this. And the Mr. George's foundation was a big part of spreading that money out. So how much did he get paid? I don't know. We don't know. And I hope I'm saying Mr. George doesn't get me in trouble. Putin is cemented, and me and William talked about this uh, Wednesday. Cement and economic ties for decades. Now, now it's in question: was this a good move for Putin? Because if he ties in, uh, is he a partner with Jinping, or is he going to be used and abused like the rest of the countries that Jinping wants power over? Could it mean that he's going to move a little bit into Russia? Maybe he's going to put a base there or a port. Or are they partners, or is this a Belt and Road Initiative for Putin to help out and to make some money? We don't know. Um, um, the thing about this is, if if Putin, well, William, I'm going to have to ask William on this. William, what do you think? If what happens if Jinping happens to abuse the power over Putin? Putin will just start fighting with him. I think it's going to break up the brick, or bricks. We don't know. He could just pull out and go his own way and say, "You stay on your side, and I'll stay on my side." We just don't know until we see what Jinping has in mind, because it was his idea, it was his partnership, and it's going to be whatever he wants. Unless, Jinping and Putin has been talking, I'm going to say at least once or twice a month since the war started in Ukraine, is what I'm finding out. And that's a lot. Um, and so in these phone calls, we don't get to hear about them. We don't get to hear what it's about, what was discussed, especially two communist countries. Putin is more socialist. Um, but I really do believe that Putin won't put up long if he's going to have a Jinping have power over him. They're both ego narcissists that want the power. Now, um, 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 Romney now admits he didn't know anything. Boy, this is something. Uh, Come on, come up. Oh, um, Romney was talking in one of his speeches, and he was saying he didn't know anything about Burisma and what was going on with that. Now, now I couldn't find it, but I could have swore he went over there to Ukraine about the same time Lindsey Graham and quite a few like Dick Durbin and oh, there's quite a few that went over there during uh, the early days, like 2014, 15, before the big war broke out. Now, I believe he was over there, but he is very close to the Biden family and Bush. And I think Romney is just trying to get himself out of trouble for documents coming out with Comer on with this investigation into the Biden family. I believe Romney's name has come up. So of course he's going to come out and say, I didn't know nothing about that, especially during the Trump impeachment. He said he didn't know a thing. So he had no clue. Um, so this whole thing with Biden, I believe we're going to start seeing some Congress and senators start coming out saying, "Oh, I didn't know, wasn't me. You did not see me there, even though that looks like me." Now, there was a picture of or a video last. Well, I seen it this morning of Joe Biden on his Air Force One, and he was talking, and I guess he had just left Israel, and he was talking. It wasn't Israel. And well, Hamas. It could have been an accident. It fell out of the sky, and yada yada. Now, I always look at faces around. I always look at the faces behind Joe Biden or anybody speaking to see their reactions, and the horror on Blinken's face behind him said everything. I mean, Blinken went and he talked to Netanyahu, and he seemed pretty heartfelt. His family is Jewish, and the more Joe Biden talked and talked about it kind of taking Hamas aside a little bit, the worse his face contorted. You go back and watch it because you can barely see him. He's very in the back in the doorway. Go back and watch, folks, and tell me what you think in the comments. Um, um, Now, um, now Alaska, and this I thought was really odd. Alaska is suing the Biden administration over the Arctic lease cancellations because they're the ones pumping a lot of our oil at this point and gas. And what they have done is they have stopped their leases because every so often they have to redo the lease so they could drill. Well, they're canceling out these leases. So now Alaska and the governor there and other senators and congressmen on both sides are actually looking to sue the Biden administration for the cancellations. Not only does this money go to the people of Alaska for revenue to keep their taxes and their prices down, which they're crazy up there, but some of it goes to the native Alaskans that deserve this money. It's almost like, what they did on some of the reservations. Some of the Indians don't want them to cancel their leases. Other reservations do. I think it needs to be up to them. I don't think it should be up to our government to say what is going to hurt the native Alaskans or even our Native Americans. Or even, we've got the Spanish down around in New Mexico and um, Arizona. And some of them are on the reservations. Others their family were Spanish and came here and never left for hundreds of years. Now, should we push them off? No, we need to leave the natives here and take care of our natives because we're all came here pretty much, unless you've got some of the native blood in you. Um, and I know I've got plenty of friends that one his mom gets rights from a reservation out of Oklahoma. So we need to take care of them. Let's not cut them out of their revenue. And see, that's all Alaska is saying. Is don't cut our revenue to the people. So they're going to go ahead and they're going to sue the Biden administration for this. Um, Now we had Egypt open the Gaza border crossing for the humanitarian aid, but um, uh, they are still rejecting it. Now, when Biden was there, before even Biden went over for this visit to Israel, he had claimed he had had many discussions with Hamas leaders. Now, the Hamas leaders have come out and said, no, that's a lie. We hung up on him. We told him no, we weren't going to take his calls. And now he has claimed of quite a few phone calls. Now, why can't we pull those phone calls? It's the president with a leader of a terrorist. And I think we need to know who's lying. Did Biden lie or did Hamas leader lie? Did Biden actually make the phone calls and just thought he did? Or is he lying about it? Or is this Hamas leader? Um, I think it's not really a leader; it's one of their someone in lesser in command. And he said no. He refused to take the calls, and then he hung up on a phone call. So I don't think Biden is truthful, or is it this guy from Hamas? We don't know. Now, we were remember what the Talib insurrection that just happened, and all them people went to the Capitol and they were chanting. Not only do they say "death to us," but "death to people Israel." Um, the thing about it was what they covered up was over 300 people were arrested that day. Over 300. That's even more than January 6th. So what's going to happen with these people? Are they going to be charged? Are they going to sit in prison or jails for 1,000 days like January 6th has? Are they going to be charged the same way? 300 people, that's a lot. I mean, I thought just a couple of them, I've seen one or two being arrested. I didn't know there was 300 that was arrested. Um, so, wow. Um, I didn't see William's answer to any of this. Um, oh well, he'll get it on Monday, won't he? Uh, so, my concern right now, getting back to where we had Yemen fire the missiles, we have Iraq. This was due to uh, uh, this hospital. And now Hezbollah, let me just say Hezbollah and Hamas has always been firing missiles into Hezbollah at Lebanon into northern Israel. And then we know of Gaza with Hamas. Now, when it came out all over the news media that um, Israel was responsible for bombing the hospital, that's when it infuriated the Muslim communities around the world and Muslim countries. And that's what caused Iraq to put their foot in. Now their Islamic extremists are firing weapons. Now they have threatened to take out some of our embassy and some of our bases in Iraq. And then we had Syria doing the same thing in Lebanon, where they're talking the embassies there too. We've seen embassies around the globe that have been put on fire or protested against. And now the newest with Yemen. Now this is new. And Yemen really isn't talking much, but what they're saying is um, that they need to join the fight to support their fellow, um, I want to say their fellow buddy terrorists, but I don't think that's how they look at them, like comrades. Uh, and it's very scary because if Yemen does it, is Libya going to do it? Are we going to see Afghanistan, Pakistan? Are we going to see the Taliban, Al Qaeda, ISIS? Are we going to start seeing uh, Israel surrounded? And will this lead to war? Will this lead to a huge war being played out in the Middle East? The Middle East hasn't seen this fight for a very long time. And the thing about this is in 1953, we pretty much started seeing Israel becoming powerful in Israel. In 57, I can't remember who the president was, but you started seeing laws being put into place. Now, during the Obama administration, uh, we knew that he was a Muslim, and he did take on Lebanon and uh, the Palestinians and stuck up for their fights, for their rights to um, um, not be subjected to the pressures of Israel. Then we started seeing him. He's the one that signed in all of the money that goes into Iran. I believe it was in 1953 that we at 53 and 57, I believe Iran was our allies back then. I don't know if you knew that. So now we're moving forward, and we've seen from the Clintons very close and very close with Iran and the Ayatollahs there. And then we even the I want to call him the Sheikh of Iran that came over. What's his? I can't remember his name, but he came over and he had surgery here. We paid for it. He said he wasn't going back. He said they're terrorists. They're terrorists. And Obama was mad at him for that. Why? You know. And then this is where all that money and the pallets of money started to support Iran. And what did they do with it? They um, they abused it. Hamas abused it. Hezbollah abused it. Yemen abused it. Anytime we give aid to any of these um, countries with extremists, they abuse what we give them, even Ukraine. And I know if we even gave money to Russia, they would abuse it, or China. They all abuse it. The other thing was that one of the main head leaders uh, of Hamas, his son is not with him no more. He became a Christian. He lives in Israel and supports Israel. And he said that what is being said over here by the media and the whatever squad, he said, is such a lie. He said he lived it. He lived it for most of his life. He's seen them torture their own people and use them as human shields to get their way. They're just not good people. And as we are looking and waiting for ground forces, it could have started by now. That's what's next is ground forces. This isn't going to be over, folks, over the weekend. Ground forces aren't going to march in there and they're going to be done. No, this is going to take months. This isn't a war that's going to be fought and over with in a week or two or three. This is going to be a very long war. It's not going to be a 7-day war. And they're not going to march around and have the walls come tumbling down. This is going to be a very intense war with a lot of different countries that are going to be involved. Okay, folks, that is it for the show. We've got trivia coming up in about 15 minutes. And I'm looking forward to it. It's Halloween trivia. Everybody says a little early. No, I got more Halloween trivia next week. So don't light that candle in your pumpkin yet. All right, folks. We will see you in about 15 minutes, and I thank you all for watching. Subscribe and hit the like button. And if you're not receiving or getting notification of our shows, be sure to ring that bell. I thank you all for your support, your comments, and we will see you on Monday for Justice for All. If not, bring the family back and play some trivia. It's a lot of fun. All right, folks, take care, and thank you so much for watching.